Canvas. This is exciting. In today's demo, we're going to explore it, give some examples, have commentaries along the way, and hopefully learn a thing or two about what this is and what it means for interactions with Gen AI, with LLMs. This is a hint of where the industry is going, and I'm very fascinated by it. If you come into your ChatGPT, you now have this icon which shows tools. Alternatively, you can simply put in a prompt. Let's build a basic Hello World Python application. This is something where for people who are more coding oriented, a task you may want to accomplish. Execute this. What we're going to see is it's using the 4.0 model. Now it's written the code. The code shows up here. This is probably not what we want. You can copy this code into your IDE, but we don't want that. We want to interact with this code. So let's try something different. I'm going to click on this, click on Canvas. We're going to put in the same prompt. We've told it to use Canvas. Let's create a basic Hello World Python application. Now you see the interface is a little bit different. On the left side, you still have the chat experience that most people are used to. But what you get in addition to the right side is this Canvas interface, a little bit more interactive than what we've been used to with OpenAI. You can copy this code if you want to and bring that into your traditional IDE, be it PyCharm, Visual Studio Code, or any other place. Alternatively, you can also execute this code. OpenAI is catching up a little bit here because Anthropic with Claude have the artifacts which give similar experience before. So this is a little bit of a catch up in terms of the UI interface. Execute this, it initializes an environment, and that code has been executed as an executable. You can dial in on your code, go back and forth. If you're coding or writing an article, I'm going to demo that here shortly. You now have the ability to dial in and interact with that. Now, what can we do? This is a very basic code. There are certain options that do show up. You can do a code review, or you can add comments to this code, which is always good. You can add logging. You can fix bugs and debug your code. You can port this into a different language if you want. Let's add some comments. You select that and you click submit. It's now going to go line by line. In that code, it's adding verbal types of comments. Now we have our code well commented. Next, if we want to add logs, you can certainly go in and do the actions to the right, adding logging, print statements, and all the things that you might want to accomplish. So this is it. Now, let's do something a little bit different. We'll keep this very basic. Instead of just printing hello world, printing Pig Latin, we should come in, keep the debugging the same. It's changed the print to Pig Latin in there for anyone familiar with that. Now, if we re-execute this code, we should now have it printing in Pig Latin in the console below. You can delete the console and re-execute that. It's printing in Pig Latin. Now, I think the print statements or the debugging statements are getting too much. I'm not a big fan of that. Here is where you can go back to a previous version of the code. And like this, I could restore to this version of the code. You have a really good experience. And you can see all the changes that were implemented from the previous version to the current version. Having that ability is good. Now, is this going to replace your source control, like connecting to Git? Probably not. But you still have that ability to see different versions of the code, which is good. And you can go back and forth to the different versions. So now in here, let's go back and put the print in Pig Latin. So we should have it in here, which is less verbose than what we had before. One thing to call out is let's do a code review. We're going to select code review and submit that. This is going line by line. Again, you can imagine you have a junior developer writing code and you have a senior developer that comes in to do a code review before you do your pull request and submit that. But here you can imagine this model being my senior developer reviewing the code and saying, hey, consider adding docstring to the main function to explain that, especially if this is part of a larger application. All right, I think that's a good feedback. It does say you might want to include a brief explanation of why this construct is used, particularly for those new to Python. Assume I like this code review. I'm going to apply that. So it would take those changes, go into the code and apply the code review feedback directly. Again, we're working with a very simple Python application here. And so things are a little bit elementary, but this is to get the point home. Now, assuming you like all of this and you want to grab the code to use, this is where people usually copy the code and paste it in your natural IDE. You can come in, copy the code, and then paste that into your main IDE of choice. I don't see this being anywhere close to your primary IDE, especially when you compare this with Bolt, New, or Cursor. This is the starting point for people who are more on the ChatGPT ecosystem to have this as an additional interface. But if you're looking at hardcore programming, I wouldn't consider this an IDE. And the second piece is you can really do multi-file edits. You have applications. Usually your applications are not in one file. Separate this into multiple files, but it just will not really work because now you don't have a file browser. You can't really see your files. This is just meant to prototype very basic applications. I wouldn't consider it my main development environment. If you've worked with Bolt.new and we've done demos on that, you will see it's a completely different experience for real development. And I think this is more for prototyping code. From a coding perspective, this is what this experience looks like. It's a good step in the right direction, but there is way more to come for this to be my main development environment. Let's put this code into Java. It should take this Python code and give us the Java version of it, which is something that people do nowadays. There we go. We have it in the Java version. But here is what's interesting. There is no way to run this. I'm guessing they don't have a Java runtime. They don't have a JRE environment for this to work. So Python did run, but Java did not. Let's try something else. I guess JavaScript should hopefully work and give us the ability to run that. So we've ported from Python to Java. We couldn't execute Java. We've ported to JavaScript. We still cannot execute JavaScript. Let's go back to Python and see, can we execute the Python version of it. So it seems like you can only run in Python, but not necessarily the other languages. There might be something there. Let's try one more, PHP, to see if that will allow us to have a run option for PHP. PHP doesn't have a run option. So I think this is what you get using this for programming. Now, let's try something different here. In addition to writing programs, you can also be writing an article. We're going to write an article about OpenAI Canvas. In this case, let's submit that. This is your typical way of writing the article. It's giving us some exploration. It takes a few seconds and it should have this article ready for us. The article is ready, but it's not in the canvas. You can't really interact with this. This is where canvas becomes very important. Here, we can come back and collaborate writing in canvas. I would edit this article in canvas. So instead of having to write it all over again, we'll simply prompt for this to be edited in canvas. Interestingly, it's rewriting the article, and we will show why Canvas is more unique as opposed to the traditional way in which ChatGPT will give you a result. So that was successful. We now have this article written for us in Canvas, a little bit of a different experience than your regular chat interface. This comes with a number of benefits. It gives you some presets that you can use directly on your article. So here, if people like emojis, you can go ahead, add emojis. You can add a finer polish. You can reduce or increase the reading level depending on your audience. You can adjust the length of the article, and these are just presets, and so just edit. So let's go through and try them all. In here, let's do a couple of emojis. Select that as a preset. I don't want this to be too emojitized, if that's a word. Adding context relevant emojis into this article. You can see this going line by line. This gives us a way to interact with article without having to rewrite the content over and over again. If you've worked with OpenAI with ChatGPT before this, you literally had to copy this to Google Docs and move things around. It would rewrite the article and you're not always sure if it keeps the same content. I think this really gives a more fascinating interface. And while this is going, it reminds me of Gemini. Gemini has a lot of these capabilities built into the Google Docs ecosystem. So the innovations we're seeing here is not so much about the model, but it's about the interface and how we get to interact with those models in the different interfaces. Now, Google has legs up because they have Google Docs. What that means is they can plug Gemini into Google Docs and give you that advanced experience. I think OpenAI is almost matching in the opposite direction. So Google is going from Google Docs and trying to improve their models. OpenAI is going from the models and trying to improve to a Google Docs type experience. I think we're going to see a convergence there. I hope this is one of those videos that I get to watch here a few years from now and say, I told you so, because it's very obvious that the interface of how we interact with these models is what is changing the most. I really want to keep this short article. I think it's a little bit too long for my taste. The last piece I'll show here is something that is very common with writing article is you want to have references with hyperlinks. This was so frustrating to do with the previous way of using ChatGPT. I think this solves that for us. Let's say I want to come into this line of the article. It combines the power of generative AI with intuitive interface. You can go ahead and select this. And here it says ask ChatGPT. You can bold it, you can italicize it, change the case. Let's do this and say include the hyperlink from the web. Just like that, a hyperlink has been included here. If you click that, open that up. Unfortunately, the hyperlink goes nowhere. Ideally, it should give you a good hyperlink. OpenAI is really thinking about the different ways and interfaces for interacting, how we write code or how we write articles. Canvas is one way to transform that. How do you see this? What are your opinions about Canvas? Do you like it? Do you think that this is not a relevant feature? Has OpenAI run out of ideas and are just now trying to play in the UI space? Is this good innovation, or is this just coming up with interfaces that exist already? Very curious what your opinion on this. As always, this has been Fru here with DemoHub. Thank you for watching and sticking to the end. I'll see you in the next demo.